and welcome back to World Rhythm 101. Here we go, lesson 4, all about strikers and scrapers. That's a pretty piece, huh? This is a bell cluster from Pete Engelhardt, more of a non-traditional bell. We're going to be talking about more traditional instruments in this lesson. Well, you can't get any simpler than a pair of sticks, right? These are the clave, the wooden instrument that's played primarily in Latin America, but the rhythm that it plays comes all the way from West Africa. Now, we discussed early on that in order for something to make a sound, it's got to move. Hold on to these sticks tightly, not a whole lot of sound because there's not a whole lot of movement. All I do to play the clave is simply allow my fingers to rest comfortably in my hand, creating a little bit of a pocket inside, and then the clave, the one that's not moving, is resting between my fingertips and the base of my palm, like this. Now, we've got movement. And we've got sound. That rhythm we talked about is the clave rhythm, a very universal rhythm that's used all over the world, and of course it's got our 3 plus 3 plus 2 plus that little tail. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Anytime we play an instrument that has a mouth, generally we want that mouth facing in the same direction as our mouth. This is a cowbell, of course. The cowbell is a pretty large instrument, typically used by a leader of a group in a drum circle setting, but also used in Latin American music as well. This is a nice one. This has got a sort of a plastic edge on it. The LP company calls this the Ridge Rider. It's a little softer. I am using a larger mallet to create a little bit warmer tone. And just because you have a large bell and a large stick doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be a loud sound, right? Now that creates a nice warm tone on the edge of the bell. If I play on the tip of my stick, on the inside of the bell, a little bit brighter sound. So then we can create a rhythm very similar to what we've used with other instruments. Boom, bap, bap, boom, bap, bap, boom. Sounds like this. Now let's talk about the agogo from Brazil. It's a double bell with a low tone and a high tone. I simply rest it in my hand with both bells comfortably in my non-dominant hand. Stick is in my dominant hand. And you'll notice that I'm playing on the edge of the bell rather than trying to teeter back and forth between the one that's down here and the one that's up here. If I hold it side by side, they're both on the same playing field. So this one, and some of the others that I've seen, allow you to click the bell. So I can actually play a click in between my pattern. That's pretty cool. Now before we go much further, let's talk about these things. The mallets and the strikers that we're going to use to get sound out of these instruments. And what I like to tell kids is that you want to pretend that if your thumb had some glue on it, that stick would stick right there on the face of your thumb. Obviously it doesn't work without the help of your finger. So pretend it's stuck to your thumb and then simply allow it to stay stuck with the help of your finger wrapping around it. And then the rest of the fingers simply follow in suit. And then you've got a nice grip to play these instruments with. Typically, if we're going to play an instrument made of wood, we use a mallet or a stick made of wood. Strike this beautiful wood block too many times with something made of metal, and you can guess what would happen. Similarly, if we're going to strike something made of metal, something made of wood is going to create more of a dull sound, so we want to use something made of metal. If the bell, however, is pretty large, striking it with metal is going to create a pretty bright sound and often pretty loud. So, as they do in Africa, we will often use a thicker, softer wooden stick.